What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sinceres here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for January 17th, 2020's Vendor Reset. So let's get right into this and see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, we're going to head over to the meat locker. Here, the weapons vendor has a Tyrant Suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 2% accuracy, and 5.50% headshot damage. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the base operations. Here, the Dark Zone gear vendor has a rugged mini reflex sight with 7.50% crit hit chance, 5% optimal range, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the weapons vendor here has a G36 Enhanced with a gear score of 273. It has 18% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is competent, responsive, and focused. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the gear vendor here has a prototype firearms mod with 260 firearms and 1% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the advanced weaponry vendor here has a custom P416G3 with a gear score of 271. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is focused, vicious, and determined. Also here we got a tactical Super 90 SBS with a gear score of 277. It has 290.50% stagger, and the talents it has is competent, vicious, and adept. Also here we got an M700 tactical with a gear score of 275. It has 168% headshot damage, and the talents it has is brutal, swift, and elevated. Also here we got a military RPK 74M with a gear score of 279. It has 19% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is capable, ferocious, and adept. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we got a Liberator with a gear score of 268. It has 23% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is competent, ferocious, and skilled. Also here we got a Cassidy with a gear score of 266. It has 335.50% stagger, and the talents it has is fierce, responsive, and boomstick. Also here we got a Spec Ops mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 279. The armor is 980. Its roll for firearms 1,255, and the attributes it has is skill power and damage to elites. Also here we got an operator vest with the talent rapid on there. It has a gear score of 276. The armor is 1,810. Its roll for stamina 1,257, and the attributes it has is health on kill, and increased kill XP. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 2% post crit hit chance. Also here we got a heavy magazine spring with 4.50% reload speed, 12% magazine size, and 10.30% rate of fire. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Cavern. Here the gear vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 253 firearms and 2,968 skill power. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Kerman Station. Here the weapons vendor has the Omega Rifle Suppressor with 17% headshot damage, 2.50% stability, and 4% crit hit damage. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to Camp Clinton. Here the special equipment vendor has a Pecan with a gear score of 269. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is Determined, Unforgiven, and Pecan. Also here we got a First Wave Vector 45 ACP with a gear score of 262. It has 19% crit hit chance, and the talents it has is Ferocious, Fierce, and Meticulous. Also here we got a Lova C with a gear score of 275. It has 23% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is Talented, Prepared, and Unforgiven. Also here we got a Spec Ops mask with the talent Enduring on there. It has a gear score of 272. The armor is 955. Its roll for electronics 1,145, and the attributes it has is all resistance and blind depth resistance. Also here we got a prototype electronics mod with 256 electronics and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 6% turret health, figured I mentioned that. Also here we got a heavy magazine spring with 3% crit hit chance, 11.50% magazine size, and 9.90% rate of fire. Also here we got a C79 scope with 18% crit hit damage, 5.50% headshot damage, and 2.50% crit hit chance. For our next gear items, you're going to head over to Autumn's Hope. Here the gear vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 189 stamina and 4% damage to elites. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Madison's Stand. Here the gear vendor has a tactical pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 1,187. Its roll for stamina 1,161. And the attributes it has is stability and burn resistance. And since I'm here, I figured I'd mention this. We have a prototype stamina mod with 263 stamina and 2% all resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the ward. Here the gear vendor has a tactical pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 271. It has 1,252 armor. Its roll for stamina 1,141. And the attributes it has is skill power and disrupt resistance. And then also here we got a prototype performance mod with 7% seeker mine explosion radius. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the southpaw. Here the gear vendor has an operator pack with the talent inventive on there. It has a gear score of 272. The armor is 1,223. Its roll for stamina 1,228. And the attributes it has is skill power and burn resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the firewall. Here the gear vendor has an operator pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 265. The armor is 1,148. Its roll for stamina 1,175. And the attributes this one has is health and burn resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 34th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a police UMP 45 with a gear score of 263. It has 21.50% crit hit chance. And talent it has is Unforgiven, Accurate, and Ambusher. And also here we got a Spec Ops armor with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 266. The armor is 1,875. Its roll for electronics 1,119. And the attributes it has is health, exotic damage, resilience, and increased kill XP. Also here we got a prototype electronics mod with 252 electronics and 3% skill haste. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype electronics mod with 258 electronics and 3,321 health. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 278. It has 1,286 armor. Its roll for electronics 1,258. And the attributes it has is health and ammo capacity. Also here we got a police MK17 with a gear score of 257. It has 141% headshot damage. And the talents it has is Unforgiven, Destructive, and Cool-Headed. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 58th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent Refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 272. It has 954 armor. Its roll for firearms 1,179. And the attributes it has is exotic damage resilience and disorientant resistance. Also here we got a gunslinger vest with the talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 276. The armor is 1,851. Its roll for stamina 1,272. And the attributes it has is all resistance, health on kill, and increased kill XP. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a black market AK-74 with a gear score of 282. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is Deadly, Prepared, and Unforgiven. Also here we got a tactical SASG 12K with a gear score of 280. It has 329.50% stagger. And the talents it has is Responsive, Destructive, and Determined. Also here we got a classic M44 carbine with a gear score of 276. It has 142% headshot damage. And the talents it has is Disciplined, Fierce, and Unforgiven. And also here we got a classic M60 with a gear score of 270. It has 19% damage to targets out of cover. And the talents it has is Accurate, Vicious, and Deadly. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 53rd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a gunslinger's vest with the talent Rapid on there. It has a gear score of 273. The armor is 1,974. Its roll for stamina 1,151. And the attributes it has is enemy armor damage, all resistance, and increased kill XP. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 7% support station range. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has some Spec Op gloves with the talent Savaged on there. It has a gear score of 277. The armor is 971. Its roll for stamina 1,164. And the attributes it has is LMG damage, skill haste, and health on kill. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 5.50% first aid self-heal. For our next gear items, you're going to head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 266. The armor is 1,249. Its roll for electronics 1,114. And the attributes it has is crit damage and ammo capacity. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 34th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an M870 Express with a gear score of 264. It has 310.50% stagger, and the talents it has is brutal, destructive, and deadly. And then also here we got an operator mask with the talent Tenacious on there. It has a gear score of 270. The armor is 898. Its roll for electronics 1,196. And the attributes it has is all resistance and blind death resistance. And then also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4% sticky bomb damage. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 31st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a military M870 with a gear score of 271. It has 346% stagger, and the talents it has is responsive, competent, and talented. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to DZ2 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 271. The armor is 925. Its roll for firearms 1,201. And the attributes it has is skill power and blind death resistance. Also here we got a tactical vest with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 268. The armor is 1,879. Its roll for electronics 1,173. And the attributes it has is health, exotic damage resilience, and increased kill XP. And also here we got some Spec Op gloves with the talent Savaged on there. It has a gear score of 270. The armor is 859. Its roll for firearms 1,249. And the attributes it has is SMG damage, enemy armor damage, and pistol damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ8 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent Enduring on there. It has a gear score of 270. It has 921 armor. Its roll for firearms 1,258. And the attributes it has is enemy armor damage and disorientant resistance. And also here we got an operator vest with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 268. The armor is 1,747. Its roll for stamina 1,196. And the attributes it has is health, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ9 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a extended magazine with 114.50% magazine size, 3% crit hit chance, and 4.50% reload speed. And then also here we got an SR7 suppressor with 17% crit hit damage, 2% accuracy, and 4.50% optimal range. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for January 17th, 2020's vendor reset. I want to thank everybody who came through to drop a like. Thank everybody who came through to watch the video. I appreciate that. I hope the video helped you find something that you needed. I want to thank everybody who subbed to the channel. Thank you for that. I appreciate that support. And if you got any questions or anything, drop it in the comment section. Or if you know me on PSN, drop me a PSN message. And I will see y'all with the next one, everybody. Take care. Peace.